here I am with Peter King. He's the Chief Executive of the Melbourne Convention and Exhibition Centre, arguably, and he'll tell us all about this I'm sure in a few seconds, the largest in the Southern Hemisphere. But what's clear is that you've won some amazing events over recent times that are going to take place over the next couple of years. And there's one word that keeps on repeating itself all the time when people are talking about this location and talking about you and talking about the centre, and that's innovation. So how do you drive the passion, how do you drive the innovation, and how do you win these events?
Look, I'm very lucky. Our team here is full of very passionate people, so that's a huge advantage. We do have to create a culture that allows innovative ideas and creative ideas to come forward. Then we need to be able to invest in them accordingly, depending on, we've got a group of executives who assess the likelihood of some of these innovations being a benefit to the business. But we've got such a great team who really want to be involved, and I guess we've given them the opportunity to make a difference, and that's been one of the key initiatives. It does differentiate us, I think, as a venue. We're looking at the moment in some areas of food and beverage, our food and beverage strategy. We've got pop-up offers in coffee and juices and food, and these are appearing on the concourse and on the exhibition floor and within the conferences themselves. So it's offering a whole new experience for the delegates. Some of the innovation we're doing around technology, branding our technology to allow the customers to be able to understand what our technology team can provide them with. So we've got a new visualisation studio that we opened yesterday, which is just a great place to go and sit down. You can work out your sound, your lighting, the layout of your space, and you can do that all in a 3D situation, and you can virtually see your event evolve in front of your eyes. So it allows us to show you what we can do. So all the different lighting, different sound technologies that we've got, it's all in-house. Incredibly talented group of guys, and they love showing off, they love playing with the toys, but it really does allow us to create the best event that we possibly can for our customers, and we're really focused on doing that.
This is a highly competitive space because there are convention centres and conference centres all over the world, okay? A lot of them very heavily publicly funded as well, and this is publicly owned, I presume?
Yes. Yep.
But, it's a competitive space, so how do you keep ahead of the game? Because you've got lots of the very, very big ones in Asia competing for some of these conferences, and I'd love you to tell me about the conferences that you've won coming up in the years. Okay,
so we had... we have got some of these wonderful conferences coming up. We had diabetes just before Christmas. Great event, 10,500 people. And in that event we did a whole lot of creative things around food and beverage delivery, as the dietary requirements of the customers was, a really interesting mix.
That would have been interesting for a diabetics conference as well, because did you have food that was suitable for diabetics? They're not all diabetics, but to show you could showcase them.
Yeah, no, we had to be really flexible in the offering, and we offered a range of food that they'd never experienced before in any of their other conferences. So that had a great delegate response. They really enjoyed that. We've got cardiology coming up shortly in May, and haemophilia, World AIDS in July, which will be the biggest conference that's ever been on our shores. Somewhere between 15 and 20,000 delegates, which is going to be enormous. And then we've got World Cancer later on in the year. So, by December this year, we will have delivered 4 or 5 of the most significant medical and scientific conferences in the world, and it's be a great credit to us if we'll deliver them successfully, I'm sure. But there's very few venues in the world who could put claim to that, and it provides a great degree of comfort to organisers around the world that they know they can come to Melbourne and have a really great delegate experience. And I think the destination is the other thing which adds enormous benefits, because you can stay. All the hotels that we're doing walking distance. You've got the river. You can walk down to the conference. The destination offers great things. It's such an easy place to get around Melbourne, and all the the little laneways and coffees and restaurants, and so there's a lot of entertainment as well. And when you get into the venue, I've travelled around the world and seen a lot of venues, and they're all struggling with retaining the investment to meet customer expectations. The customers are expecting a lot more. Just basic things like Wi-Fi. And there's not many venues in the world that offer free Wi-Fi. Most of them either don't offer it at all or they charge for it.
Yes.
And this is where our industry's got to, lift its game. The digital strategy of the whole industry really needs to be addressed.
But how do you communicate that across the wider industry, though? Because you may have the passion and drive to do things like that, but a lot of the hotels, for example, in Melbourne do charge for Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And we were talking to the guys from Taipei today. The whole of the city in Taipei is free Wi-Fi. The whole of the city.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's something that, in a sense, is a challenge for you to convince the council, the state government, whatever, to get on board with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, it's managing customer expectations, and it is changing a lot. And you're right, people need to get on board with this sort of thing, and the investment that's required, whether it's from the city, in our case the venue is providing that investment. But it's constantly changing with the needs, and this is why this industry in some ways is really simple. We sell space, we plan the event, and then we deliver it. It's pretty simple. But in between that, we've got a huge diversity of customers across a whole range of different segments, and every customer is different. Every customer wants different food, different technology, a different experience. So that's what adds the complexity into our industry, really.
Now, your other customer in all this, of course, are your paymasters, the people that invest the money in the buildings and so on. What sort of ROI does Melbourne, Victoria, and Australia get as a result of your activity?
Look, there's very good information around the return, the economic impact that's returned through international events. We did about $230 million worth of economic benefit back to the state last year, but just in our international business. International business is about 10% of our total business, so it's very important to the city. But what we're starting to do now is to measure the total economic impact of this business events industry, and it's enormous. We have major gift fairs, just as one example here, where we have, a couple of thousand exhibitors, and just on the floor, the transactions over 2 or 3 days there is something like $250 million worth of transactions on the floor. So forget about the hotels and the restaurants and the, and the venue and all, the taxis and the airport and everything. That's all part of the package, but just the business that's transacted on the floor is something that we're not capturing at the moment. And this industry generates, it's a great news story, and we do have trouble conveying that effectively to the people that make the decisions sometimes, but we're getting better and better at that.
And I think the tourism industry generally, government hasn't embraced all over the world the impact of tourism on the economies of countries, and it's beginning to get the message. And congratulations to you as well in terms of the sort of feedback we're getting is that in Victoria they begin to understand that, and they're also beginning to understand that business tourism is a vital part of that mix. So congratulations to you on the MCC as well on an awesome event as well with AIME 2014, and we look forward to you growing bigger and better as time goes by. Thank you.
Thank you.